Hi there, welcome back to Plants and Bells. This is Selwa. Today I'm going to show you how to perform kettlebell cleans step by step. Kettlebell cleans are great exercise not just on their own, but they also assist you to perform other kettlebell exercises like clean and press, clean and squat, jerks, anything that you really need to rack the kettlebell. Kettlebell cleans will be highly important. So let's jump right into it. First step, you'll see here that it is a row. So you do want to set up the kettlebell right by your instep, kind of where your arch is. Make sure that the kettlebell is on that side that you're rowing with and not off to the center or to the other side. Notice that while I am rowing, I'm rotating my hand. So first you want your knuckles facing forward, and as you row it, your thumb is going to be facing forward. And you'll see why that's important in the next step. All right, on to step 2. We're going to row, alternate a row and a dead stop clean. This is right off the floor. You don't need to do a swing with this. So you notice that the row is going to assist you to know how to clean it because you are rotating the bell, and that will assist you to bring it up. Make sure that you're using your hips and not your arm to clean the kettlebell. You also want to avoid any hyperextension at the top of the position of your back. So you want to stand as tall as you can stand, and also avoid arching your back at the bottom of the position. So no rounded backs at the bottom. Make sure that you're fully engaged before you clean that kettlebell. Okay, next step, we have a single bell kettlebell hikes, and we're doing single arms. So what you want to do is you want to place the kettlebell about a foot in front of you. Make sure that it is aligned with the side that you are hiking with. You do not want the kettlebell to be in the middle or off to the other side because that will encourage rotation. Remember, if you have not watched how to perform kettlebell swings, please visit the link above. Kettlebell swings should come before kettlebell cleans because they are the simplest of all the ballistic movements. And it will also give you a very good foundation on how to perform kettlebell ballistics because it will involve all the power, all the engagement, how to breathe, and also timing. Always remember to keep your hips down when you're hiking the kettlebell and keeping your shoulder blades engaged. Okay, on to the next step. This is called the mid pull, and we're going to do one rep at a time just to make sure that you get the movement correctly. And remember, please visit the YouTube video that I made on how to perform kettlebell swings because this is going to be essential on making sure that you are engaging the right muscles and that your timing is accurate. Now, the mid pull is basically what the name is you are pulling the kettlebell back as you are straightening your hips. So you want to straighten your hips and pull the kettlebell back right at the same time. Make sure that when you are in a mid-pull position that the bottom of the kettlebell faces straight forward, and make sure that it doesn't wobble around in this position because that could cause some wrist injury. Okay, on to the next step, and this is still the mid-pull, but we're going to do continuous reps. So you want to do about 5 to 10 reps per side. Make sure that your hips and your mid-pull are at exactly the same time. Okay, on to the last step, and this is the clean. So we're going to do dead stop cleans where you would bring it back all the way back down. All you have to do after you do the mid pull is punch your fist up. So you want to make sure that your forearm is vertical in this position. All right, next up, we're going to do continuous cleans, and that's the last step that you have to do. For your kettlebell cleans, it is doing a full kettlebell clean, a swing clean. But before you jump right into this, let's learn how to lower the kettlebell effectively. So lowering the kettlebell is one of the things that people get wrong all the time. Pushing the kettlebells away from you when you are in a clean position is not a good position for your lower back to be. So what we want to do instead is grab a really light kettlebell. This one I'm doing is a 6 kilo. And you'll notice that I'm rolling the kettlebell down. I put my finger on it just so you can see. This actually is something that you don't really need to do, but it's important to kind of get that feedback. So you're rolling it back and then hinging right when the kettlebell is near your hips. You hinge back. You could push the kettlebells back to clean it back up. Make sure that you're using light kettlebells for all the drills that you did today, because the most important thing is that you are doing the movement correctly before you start doing anything heavy. So if you're not used to doing any kettlebell cleans, I would suggest using maybe an 8 kilo, maximum 12 kilo if you are very, very strong. Now going into double arm cleans, this is exactly the same steps that you did for single arm cleans. But if you were not using light kettlebells during all the drills for single arm cleans, you definitely need to use really light kettlebells for double arm cleans, including all the drills that you have to do for double arm cleans. Now, the rows are probably the only ones that you can get away with having a medium weight. Just make sure that your back is flat in this position, so no arching, no hyperextension, or no rounding. Meaning you do not want to have flexed back at the bottom of the position. And always remember that when you are rowing, that you're rotating, your knuckles are going to be facing forward at the bottom of the row, and then as you row them, you want your thumb to be facing forward. All right, on to the next step. Same thing as you did with the single arm clean. We're going to alternate a double arm row with a double arm dead stop clean. Make sure that the kettlebells are in between your arches where your instep is, so that they are as close to your body as possible. You'll notice that I'm using really light kettlebells. These are 6 kilos. The double arm dead stop cleans are really hard to maintain a straight back at the top of the position, and a lot of people end up overcompensating and overextending their back at the top. So please use really light kettlebells. I cannot emphasize that enough. This is going to protect your back and you will avoid injury. All right, next up we have double bell kettlebell hikes. So always remember to keep your hips down on this position, and when you're hiking the kettlebells, bring them back and up towards your butt. Always remember to set up the kettlebells about a foot away from you to the front, and that your back is always engaged, shoulder blades are pinched, and make sure that you are also breathing during these drills. All right, after the hike comes the mid pull, and we're going to do dead stop, so 1 rep at a time. Remember, it's the same thing you did with the single bell. Use a really light 2 kettlebells here, and mid pull with at the same time as you are squeezing your glutes, meaning you're extending your hips. That will allow you to have a really good clean and not one of those bumpy cleans that will end up hurting your wrist and your forearms. All right, next up, you're going to do continuous mid pulls. So meaning you're not going to set it back down between each mid pull. And this is going to help you with learning the timing of the kettlebell clean. And it will help you understand the movement in a very effective way. Now, if you feel like your timing is off, please go watch the kettlebell swing tutorial that I did. This will help you understand when to lock out your hips and when to do the hiss breath and all the essentials of any kettlebell ballistic movement. Okay, next up, we're going to do single cleans, meaning you're going to dead stop every time. So do 1 clean, roll the bells down. Remember rolling the kettlebell in the earlier video that I showed you. The reason why we do dead stops is so you could get really comfortable with the movement before you end up doing continuous, because that gets really ballistic and you might injure your back, and we want to avoid that. So get really comfortable doing single cleans or dead stop cleans before you move on to the continuous ones. And remember to always use light kettlebells, especially when you're doing double kettlebell drills. I highly recommend it for the single kettlebell drills as well, just so you can get the technique. All right, congratulations if you have reached this step, you are now going to do continuous double kettlebell cleans. Remember, it's the same thing as the single kettlebell cleans as when you're doing the mid pull. All you have to do is punch your fist up, and it's going to be a vertical forearm. So this is going to be a smooth clean. So if you notice that you are bumping the kettlebells onto your forearms or your wrists, just make sure that you get all the steps correctly and then your timing is on point. Remember, you do want to extend your hips right at the same time as you're doing the mid pull. And always remember to do the hiss breath. So every time you're extending your hips, you are hissing with your hips. This is going to make sure that your core is fully engaged by the time you get to the top of the position. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. This helps me provide you with more tutorials on how to use kettlebells safely. Leave comments below if you have any questions about cleans or you would like me to do any other tutorials on how to use kettlebells. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.